People deluded. Yo. Pattern. Oh, people, that was a bit of a mare, but yeah, man, people deluded. I'm back again. Thank you very much, man. We're just gonna keep running. Obviously, I didn't mean for my music to carry on playing, and I just realised that. But cracking on, I'm all over the place. Which video am I actually here to speak about? I got so many in front of me. All right, boom. Let's talk about Maitland-Niles. Maitland-Niles. You guys know I love Ainsley Garza, man. Maitland-Niles, man. I got a lot of time for him. He's 21 years of age. Obviously, he started off the season well. Unfortunately, we all know he got injured, and up until this point, he hasn't been able to feature in any capacity for Arsenal. His return to training ahead of schedule. As for his rehabilitation, I assume that because he's in full training with the rest of the lads that haven't gone away at international level, he's able to technically start if Unai Emery deems him ready on Monday against Leicester. But on the flip side, I know it's a serious injury that he went from, that he just had to come back from. Sorry. Obviously, we don't know. I don't know his rehabilitation plan. I assume he's out there. He's able to run now, but I don't know if the physios or whatever deemed that he's fit enough to be able to take contact on his ankle if he was to get a tackle, or able to do all the movements that football entails. Because if you think about the ball and socket joint, I know it was in his ankle, but you got to move so many different angles and directions. So I don't know where he's at, if he can play. But yeah, man, I love Maitland-Niles, man, for obvious reasons. I mean, he's a homegrown lad. I mean, away from football, he looks like someone that I could chill with as well. He looks like a typical Londoner in a sense. And he's just a good player. He's still young, but now he's 21 years of age, 22 next summer. Now, he's still young. From 18 to 21, you're still young. You don't need to be the finished article. He doesn't have to be the finished article. But he signed a new deal. He's 21 years of age. It's now time for him to be defining not only what sort of centre mid he wants to shape into, but we need to be looking at him as a kind of genuine option to start game in, game out. It depends who's applying themselves in training and tactics and all of that. But in the same way, you look at Guendouzi, Torreira to start, Maitland-Niles should be added to that mix. And Guendouzi, he's come out the side recently and he had a good start to the season. Xhaka seems to be improving of sorts with Torreira next to him. Torreira, I don't need to tell you what he's on. Obviously, Ramsey's playing the 10 role, but Ramsey's still technically a central midfield option. So, yeah, Maitland-Niles faces a fight. I think he's going to hack the fight. I think he's ready, man. I mean, Unai Emery loves him. He's not the finished article. You'd think at current present, if I had to look at the pecking order or put myself in Unai Emery's shoes, because he hasn't been playing, obviously he's at the back of the queue, not because of ability. That's just how it is. You look at Torreira starting ahead of him quite clearly. Xhaka, whether you think Xhaka could start or not, clearly Unai Emery and Wenger see something in him for him to start. So them two are ahead of him. I think Guendouzi, even though he's lost his place out of the side, would be ahead of him. Ramsey's classed as a 10, so technically it's not direct competition, but on the basis of 3 people playing in midfield, if Ramsey plays 10, then there's one less position going around. So you got to add Ramsey to that mix. Technically, Iwobi starts on the flanks and has done well on the flanks, but equally he started in the Ramsey role and excelled there. So you can technically add him to the mix. So there's a lot of competition for places within midfield. And I believe Maitland-Niles can do it, man. Obviously, he's still young. There's games where he's going to drown. There's games where he's going to be quality. But for me, he's got something that these other players, probably bar Torreira, doesn't have, and that's tenacity. That's obviously they've all got engines, but he's got tenacity. I think he's very street smart as a footballer. I think he's got way more attacking quality than people give him credit for. Even if you look at him at under 20s level, the next step for him is probably just concentrating at all moments in time. And if you're probably looking at immediately, if we was to play tomorrow, he'd probably remove take El Nene's place on the bench. So, yeah, I believe he's got something that the rest don't, in the sense that I think he can grow into someone that's a box-to-box, not a destroyer, because I think he's got ability going forward, but I don't want to say a complete midfielder, but somewhat of an all-rounder, someone that can break down play, recover it, extremely street smart. And excluding Torreira, no one else can really do that. You can say there's players like Ramsey's got the energy, Ramsey's got engine same way. Guendouzi's clearly better than Maitland-Niles in terms of passes and things like that, but Maitland-Niles isn't short on that, and he's got something Guendouzi doesn't have. And so yeah, there is scope for him. It's a season where he has to kind of show something, and you want to see him make some serious appearances in the Premier League, because if not, you have to consider a loan spell for the lad, because he's 22 next summer. It's time to start playing games, essentially. You'd assume He'll probably start against Blackpool in the League Cup. He will probably partner Guendouzi in the Europa League in the central midfield and things like that at current moment. But yeah, man, I think he can do it, man. Obviously, Guendouzi's 2 years older than him, and Guendouzi's currently probably ahead in the pecking order as well, and they're at two different stages of their career. But you get the point, like. Obviously, I want him played in midfield. It's time for him to learn his craft in midfield and things like that. But you cannot rule out him actually having a future as a right back, in my opinion, because he's all right there. So with that being said, we can't rule out the possibility that at some point, in some capacity, for some duration, he either gets games at right back or left back. Obviously, Kohler's got the injury issues, but he seems to be fit and Unai seems to like him. Monreal's clearly favoured by Unai Emery, so he won't be the first choice. But you've seen him put in good performances there, and I swear he started there in before he got injured. Forgive me if I'm wrong. So yeah, man, I think he's got tools that the rest don't have. He can do box to box. He can be deep lying. I see him being an all rounder in the sense that someone that is very switched on. Someone that when we're being counter attacked, he's there to try and break down play. Someone switched on. Like I really like the fact that Maitland-Niles is fit again, because there's gonna be I've seen it on a couple of occasions. There's games I want to kind of, when we're winning, I would like to see it out a bit better in midfield, and there's not really someone that you can bring on and say, all right, cool, you and Torreira hold it in it. No real risks. Just hold it up. Guendouzi obviously can play deeper. You got El Nene to a degree, but I think Maitland-Niles presents that. I would love to see Guendouzi, Torreira, and Maitland-Niles one day in our midfield, starting game in, game out. To be honest, but there's a lot of competition in midfield. There's around 6-7 players that could technically play within them three central midfield positions, including the 10. You got what? Iwobi can play there. Ramsey's there. Xhaka, Torreira, El Nene, Guendouzi, and Maitland-Niles. And I'm probably missing out. Did I say Ramsey, people? I don't know if I said Ramsey. So that's 7-8 people fighting for games. It's great for the manager. Not so great for the players. In fact, it's great for the players because they have to compete and fight. Maitland-Niles is of that age where clearly the club believe he can fight and stuff like that. And I think we're going a different way to other clubs in the sense that we're betting a lot on the Nelsons and the Maitland-Niles and things to kind of bridge the gap for us. So he's got a lot of time. And over the next couple of years, decisions need to be made over a lot of midfield players at our club, to be honest with you. Not to name drop Mkhitaryan and Ozil, but technically you could use them in these it's not their positions, but Ozil could be moulded into a deep line playmaker similar to David Silva. By that logic, Mkhitaryan too. In fact, they both can play in the 10 role, even though they both played on the flanks by Unai. So there's a lot of options in midfield. So it's down to everyone to stay and fight, and that's good for the manager. That's good subconsciously for the players because it rules out complacency. But it means some people aren't getting games. Like if you look at El Nene, he has to hold this up. Like El Nene is an okay squad player. He's probably not in your best 11, but he has to hold it up. Like this is as good as it gets for him at least until he gets a chance to show something. So yeah, man, I'm happy for Maitland-Niles to be back, man. Back ahead of schedule as well. I'm really keen to see him building on this the last couple of seasons, specifically last season where he made some real strides in his career at Arsenal. So yeah, man, he was given a new contract, talked up by Unai Emery with a lot of players like Holding and Mavropanos. So we'll see how it goes, man. But I believe in Maitland-Niles. I've loved watching him from academy days, and he was one you could look at and say he might not be doing 10,000 step overs, but he's one you think will get a chance, man. So yeah, there's nothing more to say, man. Like he's 21. By 23, he needs to be defined. Like what sort of midfielder are you? How are you used? What characteristics have you got? To be honest with you, he shows a bit of everything. But these are now the next 2 years to define himself, to which Unai will help him, and I'm keen to see it. Big up Maitland-Niles anyways, man, and I'm so happy you're back from your injury. But for now, guys, DG, I'm out. Get in the comments, subscribe, and do the rest if you wish. Thank you for viewing.